Welcome to Campbellsville University's School of Chiropractic, the newest chiropractic campus in America. I'm Dr. Short, and I want to take you on a little tour of our campus. First of all, welcome to Harrodsburg, Kentucky. Beautiful Harrodsburg, Kentucky. The reason that the school was put here is because the cost of education is paramount importance to us. Half of the cost of education is where you live. So by being in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, we get your student loan debt down as low as we possibly can. We built a building specifically for chiropractic and chiropractic only. It's a 45,000 square foot building, and there's 10 semesters in the whole program, and all of it is housed in this building. It was designed for this purpose and this purpose only. Follow me and let me take you for a tour. Welcome to our central atrium. We built it as an inviting area with lots of different living room type settings. We have a Starbucks over here, so you can sit down with your favorite beverage and study. But this is also our value statement. This school is based on these values. There are 6 values here that are so important to us that we make sure that everybody from the janitor all the way to the students live by these values. The more you are value-oriented, the more successful you're not going to only be in just practice, but also in life. Our next stop in the tour is physical diagnosis. We pride ourselves in our style of teaching here at Campbellsville University School of Chiropractic. We believe that it's important for students, student doctors, to have a full integration of the clinical skills, not only just the academic skills. Therefore, in a classroom like this, which is physical diagnosis, a professor could be up talking about the anatomy and physiology, but then we break up into groups and we start practicing right here. We want to make sure there's no partition in the brain of the student whereby academics is separated from the clinical practical aspects of being a chiropractor. Welcome to Radiology. Radiology is a key portion of the chiropractic curriculum, but much the same as what it was in physical diagnosis, we wanted to make sure that students do not get some erroneous idea that education is separate from the practical aspects of being a chiropractor. Therefore, we put the X-ray machines directly in the classroom so that you don't create a partition again between the academic portion of radiology and reading X-rays and the practical component of actually taking those X-rays. I put this door in here. It's sort of a sneaky way to get into the clinic. You're not supposed to walk through here, but guess what? We're going to go through here. That way, if anybody in radiology is not understanding something, the professor can take the student right over into the student clinic and show them what it is in the real world. Follow me. In here, we have a fully functional X-ray suite. So again, if the student is having trouble in the radiology classroom, the professor can bring them over here and show what it looks like in real life. You can put a patient on there, you can move them around, you can actually take an X-ray in this room. Here we have yet another secret door. Let's assume that a student is having trouble in the clinical aspect. What we'll do is get the clinic director to take that student after the patient's been seen and bring them over into this little secret room. Now you may hear a classroom going on here in the background because we have a separate room created for this chiropractic simulator. But there's a classroom going on right across from that. Follow me. Here we have a chiropractic simulator. The key to getting good at any skill is repetition done well. The problem is, in the past, all we've done is worked on students, maybe your parents, and we're trying to get our skills honed by just a few adjustments. Now we have the ability to use a mannequin and a force sensing table. What this will do is it will give you biofeedback to make sure you're doing it correctly, but this you can mainly do the repetitions. That's the key. I could adjust this mannequin tens of thousands of times and you'll never complain. and therefore you get those repetitions in to improve your skills. Let me show you how this works. Now I can go off and adjust this mannequin. Okay, I'll give you 2 adjustments there, and we can monitor the force. Here we can see that we loaded the joint and then we adjust it. We loaded the joint and then we adjust it. It's important to have some repetition here so that they all look the same. So again, you could do this tens of thousands of times to get your skills perfected long before you graduate. Let's go up the fire exit. Don't do this at home, kids. Welcome to the anatomy wing. Here you will learn neural anatomy and gross anatomy with physiology, and we're going to go now into the anatomy lab. This is the gross anatomy lab. We do not use cadavers. We have digital cadavers. As you can see, Dr. Muma over here, he is pulling up a digital cadaver. We teach anatomy very different here than most universities. Not only are we learning the names and structures of things, but we're also integrating palpation skills, diagnostic ultrasound, and clinical presentation. So that way a student is not just getting all of the names of things, they're knowing how to apply it in real life. This is Dr. Muma.
Hello, hi. What we're looking at here is we have one of 4 different cadavers, and each one of them we can actually program what we're looking for. And this is my scalpel, which is kind of nice because I don't bleed, and it doesn't smell of formaldehyde. But we can just basically peel tissue back and add tissue in. And then we can begin to we can put blood vessels on top of it, bring them in, and we can just simply peel things back. And the students are able to come in and touch on a particular tissue. They can actually see what it is. It will name it for them. They can anatomize it, they can do notes about it, and we can even look at microscopic slides of that tissue at the exact same time, which is pretty amazing. We have 4 machines, 4 cadaver tables, and they're all set up to do everything, but a couple of them are very specific with physiological applications. So we can actually see beating hearts, we can actually see blood as it's traveling through the system, and we can actually see muscles kinetically moving in real time. So it's definitely a game changer. What I love about the lab is we can go from here saying this is the musculature, that's what it looks like. Then we can go right over to a table, put a student on a table, and they can examine it with their own hands, learn how to do diagnostic skills. And then when we get to the internal visceral lab and went to the internal abdominal lab, we get out the abdominal ultrasound scanners, and we just take that diagnostic level to a diagnostic imaging level. I've never, in all my career, seen so much that's hands-on in a cadaver lab or an anatomy lab. It's basically built not to only have the skills of how we name the structures, how do they interfit together, but then how do we examine that structure at the same time. So, kind of a game changer.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Dr. Muma. Let's stop here for a second. Again, we're in the hallway in the anatomy wing. We just came out of the anatomy lab. As you see, we have digital cadavers rather than regular wet cadavers. Each one of those cadaver machines has an HDMI cord. So say, for instance, you're over here learning neuroanatomy. Those cadavers can be plugged in and it will present over here in this classroom. So it's not just the lab, you're bringing the lab into the classroom. If, say, for instance, we're over in this side and we're doing gross anatomy and we need the same thing, we just plug in a different table and it gets projected on the screen over here. Again, bringing the cadaver and all of that practical learning right into the classroom. Now you're up on top looking down at the Atrium. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, great meeting place. Over to my right, you will see a bank of professors' classroom. Professors are here for the students. We have a window so that you know when they're in their room and when they're not. They're here for you. Over on this side, over here on my left, is our administration. The dean's office, my office, conference rooms. If you ever need us for anything, just knock on a door. Actually, most of the time my door is open. That concludes our virtual tour. Come on over. You're welcome here anytime. I would be happy to give you a personal walkthrough tour. Can't wait to see you.